You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
What's going on, my friends? I come to you very vulnerable on today's podcast episode. And if you're joining us for the first time, my name is Alex Pardo. Super grateful, thankful, and happy that you've chosen to plug in here to the Flip Empire Show. This is episode number 683. I record and release these episodes every single Monday, like clockwork. And I plan on continuing to do so. And I think from the feedback I've gotten throughout the years, it's going on in June. It's going to be 7 years since I've been hosting this podcast. And 7 years where we should be coming up right around 700 episodes around that time, which was totally not planned. I remember when I started this podcast, I told myself I was going to be consistent, releasing 2 episodes every single week for a year. That ended up happening for a little bit over 6 years. And then last year I transitioned to doing it once a week because I wanted to go deeper on these episodes and not just have it be weekly interviews, but as you may know, it's been me on the show. And part of this podcast is about sharing with you my experiences, lessons learned, wins, losses. And, several weeks ago, I shared with you how I closed on my 3rd self-storage facility. And there was a lot of perseverance there and working on that thing for 6-7 months. And I'm going to continue to keep you guys posted on that, because I've decided that will be packaged up as a portfolio sale now, and I'm going to be selling my 2 Mississippi facilities. So as an aside, if you are interested in getting involved in storage, maybe as an investor, maybe potentially as an equity partner, or you're interested in bringing deals to the table or acquiring deals, reach out to me. I want to be more intentional about plugging in and providing opportunities through this podcast. So send me a message. You know how to find me on social media, or shoot me an email. I shouldn't be too hard to locate. So reach out to me and I would love to connect. But I want to kind of open up and talk to you because for the last probably month or so, I feel like I've been in a rut. And I know if you're listening to this, you have likely been there at some point in your life. When we go through seasons, life at times can feel like it's a roller coaster. But if you zoom out long enough, what you want to see is, I realize if you're listening to this on a podcast, you can't see me, but if you happen to be watching this on video, if you zoom out, you want the graph, the line to be like constantly moving up from bottom left to top right? But if you zoom in close enough, it might look like the trajectory is going down. And sometimes when it's going down, those periods in your life when you're in a rut, when you don't feel like waking up as early as you're commonly used to waking up, you don't really feel like getting after it. You don't feel that drive and that push. Maybe you're just in a bad mood, but you don't understand why. You can't quite put your finger on why you feel a level of frustration, anger, anxiousness. There's something in the pit of your stomach that just doesn't quite jive with who you might normally be. And I've felt that over the course of the last month or so. And what I come to realize now, after a lot of prayer and reflection and just talking to the right people around me, is that this is all a blessing for me to grow through and grow to the person that I am meant to become, right? The best version of myself. And one of the things I've learned is to give myself some grace during this period and not to feel any type of self-pity, because that doesn't serve you. Mel Robbins talks about the 5-second rule. You feel crappy about something, you lost a deal, you had a fight with your spouse, your husband, wife, significant other, whatever the case might be. Maybe you're frustrated by a team member or employee. You give yourself a small, short window to feel and experience that, because you're human and that's okay. But then you quickly get past it. And I know that intellectually, and I live and breathe that, I think, most of the time in my life. And yet this last month or so, I've kind of been in a rut. And for me, it as I've started to peel back the layers of the onion, a lot of it has to do with just what I feel physically inside my body, particularly in my legs and my lower extremities. So not to get too far into it, but for the better part of a couple decades, I have felt this uneasiness in my legs. It's very difficult to explain, but imagine if you just finish doing a pretty intense workout. Maybe not the next day, but the second day, you kind of feel that soreness and that tightness. Well, that's kind of like that's what I've come to tolerate of the feeling in my legs, is this tightness, this soreness, this uneasiness. And really last year, about 6, 7, 8 months ago, I really started getting focused and intentional about, hey, I no longer want to tolerate this in my life, but I'm not living this aspect of my vision, right? When it comes to health, is I'm very healthy, clean bill of health. I'm pretty active. I feel like I'm in shape, but I feel this uneasiness is the word that keeps coming to mind. And I said, I want to wrap my arms around this. And so, dealing with having conversations with a coach that led me to a health coach. And I worked with her for a period of time. And that health coach connected me to a chiropractor that has kind of a spiritual component. And I went through this series of adjustments and working with this chiropractor. It's a version of hypnotherapy. And I went through that. And what that brought up for me was there was a lot of trauma from the past that I believe now I've been holding on to in my nervous system, and something I wasn't even aware of. And I started judging because I was like, that's not trauma. Like, kind of like the ego, you kind of start peacocking and you're like, oh, I'm bigger than those issues. I'm bigger than those challenges. Like, that's not a big deal. Like, let's put things in perspective. There's people that don't even know where their next meal's coming from. There's people that have been physically abused or have gone through significant trauma. And what I've come to realize and learn is that your nervous system, your subconscious, doesn't know the difference between the different levels of trauma. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you might be focused so much on fixing something tactically, right? Whether it's in your business or in your life, you might be trying to figure out why you can't reach that next level of success, whatever that may be like for you. And oftentimes it's less about what you have to do, and it's more about surrendering and releasing. And to me, as a Christian, it's surrendering and releasing to God. Just recently, I took the girls out on a golf cart ride, and I have an electric golf cart, and it was plugged in. And I started driving and I realized I was like down to like 20, 30% battery. And we were like a couple miles out from the house. And I'm like, man, I hope I have enough juice in this thing to get back home. It would suck to have to tow the golf cart. And when I got back to the garage, I realized that, yes, I had plugged in the golf cart, but the outlet, the cord was never plugged into the outlet. So I was disconnected from the true power source, even though I thought I was charging. And I share that because I think it's a good analogy to what I have been feeling the last month or so. I'm still doing my morning routine. I'm still plugging into the things that I feel give me energy, but something was off. I hadn't been plugged into my true power source, which for me is God. And for me, it's me thinking I can solve all these problems, me thinking I'm the one to fix things. And what I've come to realize, and it's ironic, is that this is a season in my life which it's less about me trying to fix something and or do something, and it's more about surrendering, releasing, letting go, and letting God. And for you, whether you might not be a Christian, you might be listening to this, and that's fine. Whatever you believe in, it could be the universe, it could be whatever, wherever your faith lies or your spiritual beliefs, you may not be plugged into your greater source. And that could be the reason you haven't achieved X or hit that next level, or the reason maybe something feels off internally. And what you have to understand is that if your inner world has chaos, your outer world isn't going to experience the level of success and abundance that you're after. I don't care what you do on the exterior. If the internal's messed up, you're not going to be in a flow state. I just had one of our Ascend members was in town, and I just spent an entire day with her doing a deep dive. And one of the things I asked her is, I said, I don't feel like you're operating in your flow state. And she says, what do you mean by flow state? I said, well, we all have gifts and talents. We have a genius zone, a unique ability. We have things that come to us easy and effortless. It's a gift, right? And when you're not operating in your flow state, chances are you're not tapped into that gift, or you may not even be aware. So I share this with you because you're listening to this, you're human. And if you're human, you've experienced pain, you've experienced trauma. It could be a level 1 trauma, or it could be significantly higher. I want you to analyze and reflect that if you're going through something, it may be less about what you have to do and or fix, and it may be more about recognizing it, having a level of awareness and letting it go and treating it as a blessing for you to grow and learn. And that's the phase I'm in right now. You know, what this has done is it's led me to connect and have stronger faith. It's led me to dive deeper. I've gone down a rabbit hole where I'm learning more about myself. I'm learning more about the emotional baggage that I might have from the past that I need to work through. And that's why I believe coaching and therapy are different, and they both have their place. And I share this with you again because I'm hoping that, you know, I've been blessed and fortunate with this platform, and I think I'd be doing you and myself a disservice if I came out here and I just puffed my chest out and said, you know, hey, I'm so great, I'm so awesome, these are all the cool things going on. And the truth of the matter is that, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm like the duck in a lake, right? And the duck, and you see the duck from the surface, and the surface, that duck is like cool, calm, and collected, and he's just like chilling and he's going throughout the lake. But below the surface, below the water, it's absolute chaos. It's pandemonium. You see that duck flapping his not his feet. What do ducks have? Flapping the webs, whatever, their feet. And that's kind of, I think that's what we all experience, I think, from time to time as entrepreneurs and just as people, is things may look great on the outside, but behind the surface, like there's real challenges that you're dealing with. And I'm here to share with you that if you're going through that, it may be something internally, could be deeply rooted that you got to have to work through. And until you release that emotional baggage or whatever it may be, you won't experience relief, whether it's physically like it is in my case, or whether it's emotionally or mentally or whatever the case might be. So I wasn't planning on kind of opening up and sharing this, and as I hop behind the mic, oftentimes I decide what I'm going to share because I want it to be organic and I want it to come from the heart. And I let kind of God lead me to what he wants me to share on the mic. So I swear to you, it wasn't until probably 30 seconds before I hit record on this particular podcast episode that I decided to open up and share that your boy's been in a rut lately, and I'm working through it, and I'm grateful for it because I'm learning a lot about myself and I'm learning a lot about the process. And it gives me an opportunity to come on here and share that because you may be going through something similar. And if you are, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. I'll never claim to be one of those know-it-alls or like I have it figured out. Again, on the outside, sometimes, you know, you see things on social media and it looks like the person is just cool, calm, and collected like that duck. I don't know if you've ever gone to a pool and you've seen those things, those ducks that float around that have the cool sunglasses, but below the surface, there's a lot of chaos. There's things happening. That's okay. Give yourself some grace and realize that there's a time for action. And I'm not telling you not to do anything because you have to take some level of action, but understand that control is an illusion. And that's one of the things I'm realizing is that the more I think I have control, the less control I actually have. And you can control your mindset, you can control your thoughts, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot you can control. So anyway, maybe this is a topic for another podcast episode where we can even continue to go deeper. So if there's something you're faced with, let me know. Let me know if I can pray for you. You know, I read a quote recently that says, "Pray as if it depends on you, act as if it depends on God." And that really just, man, that got me right in the heart. Like, pray as if it depends on you, act as if it depends on God. So that's what I want to leave you with on today's podcast episode. By the way, this doesn't happen often, but we, if you wanna, we have a spot that opened up within Ascend, our mastermind community, ascendyoursuccess.com. I highly encourage you guys to reach out to us. Would love to have a conversation with you and see if it's the right fit. It's a very unique mastermind experience in many ways, and I'd love to share with you why that is and just make sure that if you're interested, that it is the right fit. So ascendyoursuccess.com if you want to learn more about that. Outside of that, as always, I'm grateful for you and I'm looking forward to connecting on the next episode. Take care. Hope you enjoyed that episode. But before you go, you know, I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list. But what I would encourage you to do is if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to ascendyoursuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.